Welcome to the 5th episode of Season 1 of the Metallica Re-Remastered series. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the 5th song off the first Metallica album, Kill 'Em All, Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth. With no songwriting credits inside the Kill 'Em All album artwork sleeve, Anesthesia Pulling Teeth obviously was written by Cliff Burton. On Wikipedia, that's who they credited it to anyway. The song obviously was Cliff Burton's brainchild, and even though Lars Ulrich does play the drums on that song, he would be an artist and not a publisher because lyrics, melody, arrangement. If you've seen any early video footage of the band, you know that during their clubbing days, this was pretty much a live show staple. Now, when they went to record the album in New Jersey, when they recorded Kill 'Em All, there's something of a legend behind how it was recorded. The guys who were recording, engineering, what have you, they were downstairs at the mixing console getting everything ready to record Cliff, and Cliff was upstairs warming up and hanging out with Kirk. It took about 20 minutes for the whole affair, but when it was done, they let Cliff know they were ready, and Cliff pretty much kicked Kirk out of the room. Lars would say that Anesthesia was a bass solo disguised as a song in the vein of Geezer Butler, and instead of calling it bass solo, they just gave it a cool name. Born February 10th, 1962, Clifford Lee Burton grew up in Castro Valley, California. Before joining Metallica, Cliff was in a band called Trauma that I'd never looked up until recently, but you should. They were a legitimate band, they had a decent singer, and they had a decent song that I watched anyway. And the band had pretty much the same look. Cliff was the outlier. He was more like the country western guy with the denim and the bell-bottoms. Cliff went on to record and tour on the first 3 Metallica albums, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, and Master of Puppets. Some would argue that those were their best albums. I would argue that all of their albums were their best albums because it was what they were working on at the time they recorded them. Cliff is also credited with introducing music theory to Metallica, most obviously the harmonies that James would later incorporate into his rhythm tracks, and the band all agreed in interviews that Cliff was the most musical member of the band at the time, listening to bands they would never consider, and not listening to what they were listening to at the time. Namely, the new wave of British heavy metal being brought to the mainstream by bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and being championed by underground bands like Diamond Head and Tigers of Pantang. And this has been covered many times before, so no need to go on about it here. Cliff Burton was taken from the world way too soon on September 27th, 1986. He is remembered for the way he lived, and the music he left us will be cherished forever. And let's head back into the library. Song 0105 is Anesthesia Pulling Teeth. And a disclaimer, I know messing with Anesthesia's audio is probably sacrilegious to some. There's tons of content out there with the song before it was remastered, and as it is remastered, this is just viewing the song through a different lens, hearing it through a different filter. So this is the remaster, the enhanced with kill bass 1 and 2. Tracks 1 and 2 are both set at -2 dB. And I will mute the enhanced track and kick it in and out so that you can hear the difference with and without. Seems to enhance the distortion and obviously the low end. It is worth noting, I've been a Metallica fan since 1988 and listened to them for a long time. And every time I hear Anesthesia Pulling Teeth, I put it on, I hear something new. A different trick, a different angle, a different groove, a different piece of information that Cliff was laying out for us all. And whether it was take 1 or take 5, it was a live take. There's no punches on this thing. This was a live, one-shot deal. He basically pulled out every trick he had up his sleeve in one piece of music and in just under 4.5 minutes. A testimony to how practiced he was. But listen to Anesthesia again. Tell me you don't hear something new. Something you hadn't noticed before. It's all in there. And this is normally where I'd have the in-album Lifeline segment brought to you by Fresh Produce. Please eat your fruits and veggies, but it's pretty much an isolated bass track, isn't it? I mean, there's some drums at the end, but if only there wasn't drums. No, I mean, this is it, so thank you for eating your fruits and veggies. Episode 5, Anesthesia Pulling Teeth is done. Anesthesia Pulling Teeth Re-Remastered is next, followed by Episode 6 for Whiplash. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is the Metallica Re-Remastered series. Stay tuned for more. If you wish to support the series, please check out the link in the description down below. Thank you. He basically pulled a